Hello, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to go over an example where we're going to be given an angle either in radians or degrees form, and we're going to find the corresponding four trig function values at that angle. So I just want to remind you that here the angle is 150 degrees, and in radians it corresponds to 5 pi over 6. So bringing back the unit circle, 5 pi over 6 is right here. We can immediately read out the x and y entries here. And remember that on the unit circle, x entry of the point is always the cosine of that angle. So cosine 5 pi over 6 is negative root 3 over 2. And 1/2 is the sine of 5 pi over 6. So why don't we use this fact here, and we can determine the other trig functions accordingly. So we know from unit circle that sine of theta is the y coordinate of that point, which is 1/2.
And here theta equals 5 pi over 6.
Theta is the x coordinate of the point. Okay. We already found sine and cosine from the unit circle. Now we're looking for cosecant and tangent. One thing you should remember that tan of theta equals sine theta divided by cosine theta. So in other words, this is the y entry, this is the x entry. It is essentially y over x. Okay, so y is 1/2 and x is negative root 3 over 2. So one rational divided by another rational, so we flip the bottom. Okay, so the 2's cancel, and then you have minus 1 over root 3. Okay, so this is tan. And we're also asked cosecant. And we know that cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So this is 1 over sine theta. But we know that sine theta equals 1/2. Or 1 over y. Let's just write it first, 1 over y. And this is equal to 1 over 1/2. And that's equal to 2. Okay? So we got all four trig function values of 5 pi over 6 or 150 degrees by using the unit circle. If you don't remember, or if you don't recall the unit circle, or if you do not have this kind of like card available with you, then I would recommend you to memorize these points and the corresponding angles in the first quadrant, and then by using that, if another angle in another quadrant is provided to you, check if you can find a reference angle. And the way you find a reference angle, at least for this problem, is that you're given 150 degrees, and in the second quadrant the reference angle is 180 degrees minus 150 degrees, so it's 30 degrees. So it's the angle that the terminal side makes with the x-axis here. So 30 degrees is the reference angle. You can go back and check the point value. Since you already know x and y entry of the point, you just decide if these points are positive or negative in the second quadrant. But since again you're in the second quadrant, so the x entry has to be negative, so that's why we have negative root 3 over 2. But in the second quadrant, all the y entries of the points are positive, so you just carry this forward all the way here. Okay, so this is sort of like how you handle other angles in other quadrants. So again, you should. It's nice to sort of like memorize these values in the first quadrant together with theta equals 0 and theta equals 90 degrees. And then once another angle is provided to you in another quadrant, and you can find a reference angle corresponding to that, and the reference angle is going to be one of those angles. Okay, and by using the x and y entries, you can determine the sine of the points corresponding to the given angle. All right, so that's all it is, and I'll see you in another video.